Welcome to Expat Hoops, where we talk to basketball players who have played their pro careers outside of the U.S. Today, we talk to former Texas State player Victor Bermudez, who has played all over the world in his short career and is currently in Qatar.
Just a reminder that we have a new permanent home, our website, expathoops.com. For our audio podcast, you can find us on outlets like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, pretty much anywhere where you get your podcasts. We're pretty much there. Tell your friends. But now let's get into it with our guest today as he joins us today from Doha, Qatar. Welcome to the pod, Vic.
Thanks for having me.
We were talking a little bit off the pod. You are a graduate of Texas State, graduated in 2015. We had kind of an interesting discussion off the pod about what that was like for you basketball-wise and as a student-wise. If you could kind of take us through a little bit what your college experience was like at Texas State, because I think it kind of lays the foundation a little bit for, well, actually lays the foundation a lot for what your pro career has been.
Texas State for me was I would say the best and the worst thing that happened for me. Best in terms of the connections I made off the court, worst in terms of what I was able to do on the court, right? So I was late from junior college. I was late because I had to do summer school. I was late. So I got there late. I missed like the first 6 weeks of like summer training and stuff, right? So I was there for a month and a half. Then I played my first game. I started my first 3 games. And then after that, I just got benched for my last 2 years. Because realistically, I didn't have coming from JUCO to D1, you need a little bit of leeway to adjust to some D1 level, the speed, you know what I mean? The reads, everything is a lot faster. And I legitimately had 3 games. So after those 3 games, it was pretty much over with for me. I probably played 1 more game, 2 more games after that where I saw more than 15 minutes in 2 years. So, excuse me. So with that being said, Texas State was that's what it was. And for me, mentally, it helped me a lot because it made me very, very mentally tough. And I knew I was going to be able to handle whatever came my way because it kind of felt like the game was taken away from me in a sense. Not because I wasn't good enough, but because I was. And I know I put the time in to be on the floor. So, yeah, that's what it was for me at Texas State.
And actually, that's one of the things that, out of high school, you actually had a good number of offers. What sort of offers did you have? And, essentially, Texas State you just weren't somebody that necessarily randomly fell to Texas State. I mean, if you could talk a little bit of the offers that you had coming out of high school too.
Even then, it's a story because after my senior year, I didn't have any offers. I had an interest from a Division III school called Colorado College. Had some interest from Montana State, but Montana State was just sending they wrote up little blogs and stuff like that, but it wasn't nothing definite. And then I got the opportunity to go to prep school. And I played in prep school, then, some more interest started coming along. But then my coach in prep school got sick, so we had to cancel the season. Then I went home, and I went home in December of 2010. And then since I was a postgrad, I was still able to play AAU. So I played AAU 2011. Then I had a really good tournament one time, and a coach from the University of Hawaii saw me, and they offered me, and I committed on the spot. That's the only offer I had. So I committed on the spot. But then, coming towards the end of the summer, we was in contact with the coaches and everything, and I see one day, in late August, that they signed somebody else without acknowledging me or anything. So I'm like, okay, so I'm assuming my scholarship is gone. So my point guard at the time on my AAU team signed with Central Wyoming. And I called him like, yo, bro, can you see if you could give me a scholarship? And then within the hours, coach called me, he told me he got a partial. I was like, I can't afford a partial, so I can't do that. Then the next day, Sheridan College called me saying they're ready to offer me a scholarship. And right after I hung up with Sheridan, Central Wyoming said they had a full scholarship as well. So late August, school starting probably in a week or so. I got 2 schools that's all and school started. So what made my decision easier was a player from Sheridan that missed the state. He called me. He said, "Hey, listen, I'm about to go to the Big Ten from junior college." Right then and there, he sold me. He sold me, and I committed to Sheridan College that day. And I was in Sheridan 2 days later.
Wow. So the story of your time, even in college, was one of little adversities here and there waiting for your shot. So
basically, yeah.
You graduated Texas State in 2015. Now we've talked to players in the pod that they take some time between college, considering their options, considering their offers, even considering if they want to go pro at all. You weren't a pro basketball player for 3 years after your graduation. You did odd jobs. You were an Adidas store stalker for a year. You were a busser and porter at a nightclub in Vegas for another year. It wasn't until 2018 that you got your shot. So let's talk about this transition period, because this is rather unique. We haven't talked about anyone that's had that long of a period. During this period, did you stay in shape? Were you still considering going to pro ball, or was this just something that came out of the blue for you? And
I was still working. Oh, go ahead, George. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was still working out. Ironically, after I graduated, I broke my foot. Like right before in November of 2015, I graduated in December. In November of 2015, I broke my foot. So I was out. I didn't get surgery or nothing, but I was out 6 months. So I wasn't able to get back on the court until 2016, April of 2016. I played in an overseas combine that summer, played terrible. And I was still working like odd jobs, played terrible, but I was always been a workhorse. That's just been my MO. Just put the work in. So for those 2 years, me working, I was working out as well, staying in shape, like playing every day, working out, like taking advantage of all of the free time I had. I was in the gym 2-3 times a day, you know what I mean, for 2 years. And then, I got the opportunity in 2018 to go play, and I took full advantage of that as well.
So how did that opportunity come about? Were you, during this period, did you have an agent, or did you have contact with anybody who had contacts overseas or anything like that?
No. So I was on Facebook, and it was like little Facebook, like overseas pages and stuff like that. And then it's like small time agents sometime on there, stuff like that. And my brother flew me out to Israel because he was playing for Maccabi at the time, and I wasn't working. And I was just working out, and I wasn't doing anything. So I had some free time. So I went out there for a month and a half, and one day in February of 2018, I seen a agent post that the Spanish team in the 4th division was looking for a 2-3, not for much money, but a 2-3, but they wanted them to be European. So I went on my way. I messaged them and asked them if they would take an American 2-3 that is in Europe already. So he was like, yeah, send your highlight tape. I sent them a highlight tape from an overseas combine. The team liked it, and then they sent me the contract. The only downfall of the contract was I had to find my way there and find my way home.
Oof. So once again, it was a bit of adversity even after you got your shot.
Yes.
So you were in Spain's 4th league.
Yes.
Liga EBA.
Mm-hmm.
What was Spain's 4th league like for you, both on the court and off the court?
I was in the Canary Islands, so off the court it wasn't much to do. But it's a lot of, I guess we could say, conferences, but in overseas we call it groups. But there's a lot of groups in EBA, like a lot, like probably 7 of them. So I was in Group B, which was the toughest one in there. It was us. It was Gran Canaria, who has an ACB team, which is like Spain's 1st division. They have a second team, so it was them. We had Real Madrid second team, and like all their young guys that's like really good. They ended up playing for Real Madrid at a point in time, so they was in ours. And it was a couple teams that are now in Leb Gold and Leb Silver that was in that group as well. So it was a lot. it was competitive. I can say that it was very competitive, and that's a league that doesn't get any respect at all because it's a fourth division. So,
but it's the fourth division of probably in terms of a single country, the best basketball league other than the NBA. So you're talking about a league that has a lot of deep talent. As you said, they're developing. You were in the developmental league for League A, at the time. So
Luka Doncic played in that league when he was coming up in Real Madrid. He played in that same league I played in. It was just years before, but that's what it was.
That everybody goes through there when they get their first shot and move their way up through the rankings. So you were definitely facing some talent that was on its way to the top. And so how did that feel for you once you finally got your shot to go through that, to play against talented people, even though you say the league didn't get any respect, you knew better and you knew who you were playing against at the time?
At the time, I was just happy to be there. You know what I mean? I didn't really think about the political side of basketball because I got my first shot. So I was just really locked in on just enjoying the game for the most part. But going into my second year is when I discovered the political side of it, I guess you could say, because I didn't get any offers after averaging 20, very efficient, you know what I mean? But I only played 10 games. So I learned that they're not really going to offer you nothing off 10 games. Like, you got to play full season. So that's the only reason why I went back to Spain again after playing a full season. So I can't play a full season, I should say.
And so you played a full season in 2019 in the same league?
2018, 2019 season, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you stayed in Spain's fourth league essentially for a season and a half-ish.
Yeah.
And got your way through there.
That's something that's kind of interesting too. Take us through a little bit like what the off the court aspect was like in terms of what the compensation was like down in the fourth league. I know that we talked off the pod. I think you mentioned it also here that you paid your own way to get there and your way to get back. As far as the second season, was it a little bit better for you in terms of the compensation since they know what you could do?
It barely got any better, like barely, but it got better, I would say. But and I got a round trip ticket home my second year. You know what I mean? They upped the pay barely, but they upped it.
Round trip ticket. You actually got there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I was making moves. I got a round trip ticket. But the second half of the season, so we had an apartment. We had an apartment that had 3 rooms in it, right? So it was me, but somehow, some way, our GM at the time made it to where it was 6 of us standing there. So it was me in one room, then I had my teammate in another, then 2 teammates in one room, and then 2 teammates like kind of in the split room, and then there was one guy sleeping in the closet. Like, it was nuts.
That's a first.
It was ridiculous.
And after playing in Spain's league, did you get your offer to play in Romania right after that on the heels of it?
Nope.
Oh boy. So what are we talking about here?
So I went to so I seen another deal for 700, but they was like, you gotta fly your way there, and I was like, okay, because overseas they always want players that played in the top division. So at this time, this was in Tunisia's top division. This is the first time I went. So I went there. I flew my way there, and that was like the contract gonna be for X amount of money. And then I didn't know I was on tryout. I got there and I seen another American. I was like, bro, what is this? He was like, y'all gotta compete and try out, basically. I was like, oh my Jesus. I was like, all right, I already flew my way here, so it is what it is. First night I get there, the contract says I'm supposed to have a washing machine, Wi-Fi, all the normal things, right? Okay, first night I get there is no hot water. Right? It's no hot water. We don't have Wi-Fi. So now, and then I go to sleep and I wake up to a cat hissing at me. I'm like, bro, what is this? I'm like, this is crazy. So I tell them like, hey, y'all got to get these cats out of my room. Like, this is ridiculous. And they come to find out it was like the mother cat, and she just gave birth to like 3 other cats in that room I was in.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So with that, we ended up trying out. They picked me, and then they like the contract they offered me was like cut in half. So I was like, man, I'm already here. I gotta sign it. So I signed it, and then within that time, I gave him 3 weeks. I'm like, bro, I need Wi-Fi. I need a whole new place to stay. I need hot water. I need a washing machine. I need all
You need
that.
a room that doesn't have strange cats in it that are giving birth.
Exactly. So they was like, okay, you know. They kept saying okay, and then they never fixed it in 3 weeks. They never fixed it.
Now that's a story we've heard before.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never fixed it. So then I was like, I'm leaving. Like, I'm out. They was like, okay, if you want to leave, you got to pay to get out your contract. So, all right, well, I'm not staying here. So I paid to get out my contract. And then my former teammate in Spain was playing in France now. He had his own spot. So I was like, hey, bro, can I come, come kick it with you for a little bit until I get another job? He was like, yeah. So I went to France. And then I was like able to stay in shape because I was practicing with his team. That was like in the 4th division of France though, so it wasn't nothing for me really. And then I was emailing coaches, like, emailing coaches in all types of leagues. And it was like the worst team in Romania. I was like, yo, can I come try out, possibly get signed or whatever? They was like, yeah, come. So I left France in November, got to Romania. They gave me room and board. I tried out they kept me there for like 2 months. They was like, we can't sign you till like January. They signed me in January. But they was like, your flight home you only get your flight home if we stay in the league and you have to pay your own visa to play. So I'm like, all right. So I paid the visa. And then we played. I only got to play 4 games in Romania, and then COVID happened.
Oh, great.
So I had to find my way home
Again.
Again.
So that's now, I mean, you're 2 years into a pro career that was 3 years past when you graduated college. So essentially you're almost 5 years past college now. You've been doing odd jobs at home. Then you were essentially doing odd jobs in the pros. You've gotten one full season in Spain's 4th league, but before that you did 10 games. Then afterward you went around in Tunisia, you tried out this, you tried out that, train with teams. So you're not really established as a professional basketball player. And that's the point in which from Romania you head home and spend 3 months at an Amazon fulfillment center, essentially doing another odd job, spending time doing that. So what was that like for you to be at home, with a job outside of professional basketball after you've, done that for the first time and had the experience you had, which essentially you were mostly paying your way around to get through and get opportunities?
It was like, I don't want to say it was regular because my journey it's not regular, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it was, for me, it was regular because I always knew what the end goal is. Like for me, I'm playing overseas. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know I'm going. That's just how I'll be and how I always been. You know what I mean? So I just continue to work out, stay in shape until the next opportunity came. And you know what I mean? I had to find ways to provide myself. So, our jobs is what it was.
And I'm sure that was difficult too, because this was 3 months in an Amazon fulfillment center when COVID hit. So there were lots of things going on, in terms of people were getting things shipped a lot more. I heard a lot of stories about long hours and all that stuff. And of course, the spread of COVID at the time throughout some of these factories and fulfillment centers wasn't the greatest. It was money, but it was a difficult time to do what you were doing. And so now you're 3 months have passed, Amazon fulfillment center. How do you get the opportunity in December of 2020 after all of this COVID junk was going on and you were spending time at home? How did that opportunity arise for your second go round in Tunisia, which was much more successful? You spent about 6 months there.
Yeah. So the same team offered me in like August, September, but the money was too low. I'm like, I'm not going over there for this. And then they came back around like 2 months later. I was like, I'm not doing that. And then they came back a third time and we made an agreement. But that's when my agent hit me. The agent that I'm with now, that's when he texted me, he like, look, bro, I need you to go to this team and I need you to do this because I know what you can do. So if you just showcase what you can do, then everything else, I got everything else. And I was like, all right. So I went over there. I could have played better, but I played okay. It was good enough to, to get me another opportunity where I could really showcase what I could do. But Tunisia it was a good experience though, for sure. Especially getting placed in what I call the Arabic market, with like the Arabic countries and stuff like that. So it was definitely a good opportunity for me.
And
that actually takes us through to kind of where you are now a little bit. We're going to get there in just a moment, but like you said, opening the Arabic market, you first got into the Arabic market in October of 2021 in Iraq. We've had somebody on the pod previously that's played in Iraq, Amir Jackson, but what was your experience like playing in Iraq and how you wound up getting there as well?
Yeah. Well, Tunisia is an Arabic country as well.
That's true.
You didn't know that. I know it's in Africa, but it's an Arabic country as well. But I was working out one day, at home, trying to prepare for what comes next. And my agent called me. He's like, hey, how would you feel about going to Iraq? I was like, all right. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? I've never been one to be like, I'm not the guy to really turn down jobs unless it's like unreasonable. So I knew what I was getting myself into, and I knew what it was. So he presented me the situation, telling me that they're in the first division now, but they won the second division. So it's a bunch of guys that don't really have the experience, and you get the opportunity to really showcase what you need to do. So the goal was for me, my agent was like, listen, I need you to go over there and I just need you to score. I don't need you to do nothing else. Just go over there, average 20 points, and you're going to see the offers start rolling in pretty much. So I went over there, and I ended up having the best season I could ask for. I ended up averaging 30. Unfortunately, we didn't win much because, to win games, you need experienced players, and we weren't very experienced. So to be able to win games was difficult, but we competed in every game. I can say that. We definitely competed in every game. We were there to maybe halfway through the fourth most games or all the way until the end of the game. But like I said, the experience is sometimes the difference between winning and losing games. So, but individually, it was easily the best season I ever had. Easily, not even close.
In Iraq for Al Samawa, you mentioned to us previously before the pod that the season was cut short, and you were granted a release.
For me,
yeah, a couple of games early.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, you said that the team was basically down to like 5 players.
Yes.
Because of what happened. Is that just because they got other offers elsewhere, or how did that work?
So when the season started, we had, I would say, 12 players.
Not ideal, but it's a roster.
Yeah, but lower level guys, they be having to go to work and this, that, and the third, so they don't always be in practice and stuff of that sort. But going through the season, some guys weren't playing, they felt some type of way, so it's kind of started dwindling down as the season went on. And then I would say about February-ish, we had about 8 guys, like 8 legit guys that we just don't have, 9 guys max. And so we played a game. March 11th, to be exact. We played a game, very intense game. We was going back and forth, but the refs were real iffy. So we had 9 guys that game. One of the guys left in the middle of the game, so we were down to 8. Another guy got hurt. Bone bruise in his tailbone, down to 7. And then one guy got threw out the game because he got elbowed in the face, and the ref didn't call it on. He called it on us, like it was our foul. So then he like chest bumped the ref, and he got kicked out the game. So now we down, and then another guy fouled out. So that left us with 4 players. After that game, my coach was like, you know what? This is officiating is terrible. We're not playing this game. We're not playing the rest of the game. That's the last game I played in Iraq.
Well, that was for that to be your last game in Iraq, considering your career so far, that's kind of a microcosm of the difficulties that you've gone through. You're there, and then like players start disappearing randomly, and you end up in a four-person team to end your career in Iraq. But you are now in Qatar. You're in Doha. You have joined a Qatari team in the league there. Is their season just kicking off, or are they partially through their season?
Here in Qatar, their season is ending. So they just finished the championship, and now they're doing the cup, which is like a short tournament, you could say.
Yeah,
is what they're doing.
Yeah.
So they're doing the Qatari Cup right now, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, you joined them for the cup tournament.
Yeah.
Okay. How many games is that? Hopefully.
So you get four guaranteed games, and then the top 2 teams from each group play in the semifinals and the finals.
Okay. So
it's 4 guaranteed games with a possibility of 6.
And are you on a team that you think can contend for that cup?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
Well, they brought him in, so they better be.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know. Maybe somebody who's not contending for that cup, wants to get an extra game or something.
Right.
And so, with all of this being said, you've more or less started to establish yourself the past 2 years post-COVID outbreak as we've been going through this. You've established yourself in the Middle East and North Africa as a player in that region. What, after this cup schedule is done in Qatar, what's next for you?
I'm going home. I haven't been home in 7 months, so I'm going home. Then I get to go on vacation, but I'm going to a wedding at the same time in the Dominican Republic. So I'm really looking forward to that, especially after a long 7 months that I've been over here. So that's what I'm looking forward to, really. Now I got to take some time off.
That'll be nice. And take some time off and enjoy yourself. What are your goals going forward for yourself in terms of what you want to accomplish, what you would say is the remainder of your career, if you have any?
Right now, I just want to be healthy enough to make it to the 10-year mark. You know what I mean? To say, not playing for 3 years and to be able to say I was a 10-year pro is like unheard of, And my journey is different, and hopefully it motivates a lot of people after me, or trying to chase the same dreams. But in terms of my goals, make it to the 10-year mark and establish myself off the court as well. You know what I mean? To the point where at the 10-year mark, I could either, if I'm well established enough off the court, I could really have the decision if I want to continue to play the game or if I want to, be home. So those are just my 2 goals right now.
Well, Vic, thanks for joining us today from Qatar as you go through the Cup season there and finish up your time and take a much needed break from basketball for a little bit before you get back into it. Good luck on reaching the 10-year mark, and keep in touch with us and keep in touch with the Expat Hoops listeners on your remainder of your career.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hello, and thanks for watching. Be sure to give the video a like, and you can watch more videos over here. You can also click subscribe over here so you're notified when we have new content here on Expat Hoops.